You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We're locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Kademan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and helpful coach to small business owners across the country. Today, we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Melissa Smith, the CEO and founder of the Association of Virtual Assistants, as well as the PVA. So, Melissa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
I am excited to talk with you because this seems like the type of business that people either, I feel like they should have flocked to now as clients, even as entrepreneurs themselves. You seem like you're ahead of the curve by a few years, I guess, as far as that goes.
I'm fortunate. I started my career in virtual assisting back in 2013 and started my business in 2014.
Nice.
And back then it was a lot of education. I mean, certainly there were tons of VAs in the industry already that had really pioneered it long before Zoom and things like that. But when I started, there was still so much education that had to be done. And fortunately, I enjoy that. I enjoy sharing with people how it works and how virtual assistants can help clients and companies and in just a variety of different ways. And certainly with the pandemic and the world going online, it really ramped up the industry. And now there's currently a shortage of qualified VAs in the industry. It'll probably take, I was saying 1.5 years, 6 months ago, but I still think it's probably another 1.5 years, 2 years for the market to catch up with the demand. Because there's a difference between a virtual assistant and a qualified virtual assistant. But yeah, I feel very fortunate to have already been in this space. So while my personal lifestyle of being location independent and nomadic and traveling all the time, that drastically changed, my work lifestyle and how I got to do things and how I centered myself, fortunately, did not change like many had to. And, talking about company culture and how you communicate and strategy and all that, that some companies are still figuring through. I didn't have to go through that. So I feel very fortunate that I didn't have to go through that part.
The company culture thing is interesting. You talk about that. I was just having a conversation with my employees about that. Like, we have to steer the culture where we want it to go, because you're going to have a culture of some kind, whether it's the one that you want or not. If you just let it happen, it may not be the one that you want. So you have to pursue it.
Yes.
That's just one more thing you got to pursue. As far as that goes. Let's downshift to when you first started. What made you decide to start your own business rather than just being a virtual assistant for somebody else?
So I had always said I would never own my own company.
Really?
Oh, yes. I never wanted to own my own company because I grew up in the restaurant industry and in family members who had their own construction businesses. And it was very much, you were married to that work. I can't tell you the number of holidays I actually spent at the restaurant working. And that's where my family was as well. And I thought, this is awful. Well, I don't want to do this. Like, I'd rather be an employee. I'd rather get paid to be off. I'd rather close and do all those things. And it just seemed like just not fun.
Right.
And I didn't want any part of it. Well, I did always want to be an assistant. So my mom was an assistant. I grew up knowing that I was going to be an assistant. I went to secretary school back when that's what we were called. I was an executive assistant for over 15 years. Very happy. Loved it. And then in 2012, my husband committed suicide. I was 3 days into a brand new job.
Whoa.
So as you can imagine, life changed drastically.
Yeah.
And I was in Georgia at the time. I'm originally from California. I stayed another year in Georgia and then decided, with the help of my family, that it was probably best that I move back to California. So I moved back to my hometown and moved back to where my sister was. My son was in college at the time. I had a daughter who was going into her junior year in high school. She had friends and even relatives that went to the high school. So we were there for a year. I had a job that I loved. I never wanted to leave. I thought I would be there forever. Most of their employees that were there had been there over 20 years. So I really did see myself being there forever. And then my daughter came to me after a year and actually it was a little less than a year. And she said, I want to move back home. This is not my home. I don't want to graduate from school here. I want to be back with my friends. And during that time, I had felt like I had become myself again, and she had not. So I knew I needed to give that to her. So without hesitation, I moved her back to Georgia so she could start the school year. I went in to my boss. I went to give my 2 weeks notice, and he said, we don't want to lose you. How can we keep you?
All right.
And I thought,
you would work there for 2 weeks?
No, I went to give my 2 weeks notice. I had.
I'm sorry. This is a year and 2 weeks in.
Yeah. So actually it was 10 months.
10 months. Okay. So still relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And he said, we don't want to lose you. How can we keep you? And I said, I could do most of what I do virtually. I don't have to be here in the office. And he said, okay, let's do that.
Wow.
So I became their first remote employee ever.
Nice.
And, it really does speak to, providing value.
Mm-hmm.
And I was providing value to that company, and they knew it and they realized it. And I was smart enough also to only work for a company who would value me back,
mm-hmm.
which is a key factor. Like I was never a person to take a job because I needed money. My philosophy is that there's always work to be done. In a recession, I had 3 jobs. When people were complaining there was no jobs, in a recession, I had 3 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So it was never a fear of loss type of reality to me. I've never had a job that I didn't love because I always valued my work too much.
Oh,
and so when I would go into interview, like, yes, they were interviewing me, but I was 100% interviewing them as well.
That's smart. You were advanced. I mean, you touched on a few points there, right?
I was, because my mom, who I wanted to be like, she was an assistant, so I wanted to be like her. I didn't know that she didn't love her work all the time.
Oh.
Because my mom's like a saint. So she never once complained about a boss, about a situation, about a person, nothing. I was probably 3 or 4 years into my business now when I found out that there were jobs that she had that she didn't like.
Wow.
She just never says anything bad about anyone or anything. Now, on the other side, there was my dad. He was a single dad raising 3 kids, he had 1 full-time job and then 2 part-time jobs. And he hated his work, hated it. And he didn't see a way out. He just, head down, paying the bills, had to take care of 3 kids. And he couldn't wait for us to get out of the house so he could quit his job. And when my brother left home to go to college, my dad quit his job.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, life is too short for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be that person. Mm-hmm. So I was very much like, I'm going to be like my mom. And it was just kind of, I didn't ever know that things would be ever differently. So if you go into it having that expectation, that's what you get.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people, employees that I've had in the past, arguably even some now, despite my attempts, just feel like you're supposed to hate work. You're supposed to hate Mondays. You're supposed to jump up and down on Fridays because that's when you leave work. Like we seem to be taught that work is evil, it's bad, and whatever you do outside of work is better. And I feel like maybe it should be, but a lot of times what people do outside of work isn't that entertaining either. So it just seems like there's
there's this paradigm, and there's this paradox as well of, well, my work has to be my total and complete passion. It has to be my life goal and my fulfillment, right? That's the other side of it. And I don't believe that either. Mm-hmm. I do believe that life is too short to get up every day dreading what you do. And I also believe, because I could see it from the other side, because I had so many business owners in my family, that it's not fair to someone else to bring your bad attitude to work.
So
because
true.
There's someone else out there who would give anything to have your job. Mm-hmm. There's someone out there who would give anything to have your job. Your job is their dream job. And if you're in it and you're not in it because you don't love it, you're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your employer a disservice, and you're keeping someone else from their dream job. So when I left, I always left on good terms, but I always left knowing that someone else was going to come in and love this job and be as excited about this job as I was when I first started.
That is cool. How could somebody not hire you?
I was got
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you
yeah.
decide, hey, I gotta shift gears here, start my own gig.
Yeah, so
What?
I start working remotely and we had contracts every year. And I was already under contract
Mhm.
and I got this new contract and suddenly my mind just shifted. I had
All right.
felt this little taste of freedom and flexibility that was unlike anything I had ever experienced. I'd never known work where I didn't commute.
Oh.
I'd never really known work where I wasn't, tied to a desk where someone didn't expect me to be there. Even though phones don't ring, like they used to, that's not the way people communicate anymore. Like my presence was still needed. So even just to get up and use the restroom, which was totally fine. It wasn't like I was under orders to stay there. But if I was going to leave to use the restroom, I needed to let someone know, watch the front door, watch
Mm.
this, watch that, someone's coming in, even just as a professional courtesy, right? So not having that anymore was just like, wow, what a difference.
Ah.
This is just incredible.
Mhm.
And so I got this idea that, wow, if I could do it for them, could I do it for myself? And that just was a really crazy question that I'd never asked myself, never
Mm.
asked myself.
Mhm.
And ultimately, it was because I was also tired of asking for time off. I was an extremely loyal employee, and I didn't want to ever feel like someone was not taken care of. And although everyone was always taken care of, even if I was on vacation or taking a day off, I didn't enjoy asking for time off. And I
Ah.
didn't see the need to because I can still do what I do. So, like, how does it make sense? And I thought, if I just never had to ask for time off and I could go visit my family, which I was visiting in California, I was visiting my son in Iowa, I wanted to be home with my daughter. I mean, we're all still going through a lot of changes.
Mhm.
If I didn't have to do that and I could just do my work from wherever I was, which what I was doing anyways, like, wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
So I sent my contract back unsigned without a plan on or knowledge on how to run a business with no clients, no nothing. I finished out my contract. I said, I have to start my own business. I think this is the time to do this. I'm gonna try this. I feel like this is my time.
All
And they were
right.
so supportive. They said, great, we support you. Thank you for finishing out your contract. We really appreciate it. You always have a job with us. If you ever want to come back for any reason, we'd be happy to have you. And so that's what I did.
Nice. And what year is this?
That was December 2014.
All right. So it's been a little while.
Yeah.
All right. So you hang your shingle out there. You're like, all right, I got a laptop, I have internet, I can be
Mhm.
anywhere, do anything,
Yeah.
take care of business. All I need now are customers.
Yeah.
How do you get the customers?
Oh, I had no idea.
Oh.
Oh, I had no idea. I tell everyone like that first year in business is a joke I can only laugh about now.
All right, fair.
Like it just, I just didn't know. And in a way for me, that was good. In a way for me, it was good because had I known what I was getting myself into, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Mm.
But I knew how to be an employee. I didn't know how to run a business. So looking back now, I can see so many things. Like I would constantly tell people, I could never find clients. I could never find clients. Well, that wasn't true. I was meeting and finding clients every single day because I was constantly networking and meeting people and I was not afraid to tell people what I was doing. However, they weren't my client. So I didn't know how to monetize that
Oh, gotcha.
service that I was providing.
All
So
right.
what happened is a year later, I have a light bulb moment and I realize I have a client in front of me who, much like all my other clients that I had turned away and just kind of given away, he had needed a service. I told him about virtual assistants. I educated him or her on all the reasons why you would hire one, all the benefits, how great it is. At the end of the conversation, they would say, great, can I hire you? And I would say no. And they would look at
Oh,
me like I was crazy. And I would tell them I'm just not that type of VA. And they would say, well, where does one find such a person? And I thought, gosh, I know tons of people. So I began making introductions like that. And I was doing that for a year, which is what I do now.
all
And I
right.
get paid to do it now only because I tell people I charge them for it. Right. But I was doing that for a year without ever getting paid. And then one day I had this light bulb moment because I was talking to a person who was my person. They did need my services. I could tell he needed my services. He told me he needed my services. But in that part of the conversation where you know that you're losing someone, I could tell that I was losing him. While he needed me, he didn't necessarily want me.
Okay.
So I flipped the conversation on him and I said, what's the one thing in your business that you wanted to implement, but you haven't? And he got really excited, right? The excitement came back now. And he said, oh, if I could hire a VA to clean up my CRM system, send me out a newsletter 4 times a year, I just need 2 new clients a year. He had a very niche business, made a lot of money. He said, that would be awesome. So I said, well, if I found that person for you, would you pay me for that? He's like, oh yeah. How much do you charge? So I threw out some ridiculous number. I still to this day don't know where this number came from. I threw out $5.99. I don't know if it's the most ridiculous number. $5.99. And he said, okay, sounds good. What do you need from me? And he was my very first client.
Nice.
And that's, but for that first year, I understood how to do things. I had people telling me all the time, sell the sizzle, not the steak. I'm like, what does that mean? But people, it was just so frustrating to know all the things and yet know nothing. Like to know how to be a good employee, but not know how to run a business. Like everything just felt so just daunting. And had I not hired a coach, I actually don't know where I would be right now. But I was so committed that this had to work. Like I was failing. I knew I was failing. I could hire a coach and then I would know if I failed, I went down swinging. But the idea of failing and not even knowing why I failed was not an option for me. If I could just if someone could just tell me why I was failing, then I would have the opportunity, but I would never have that opportunity on my own. And I knew that. So when I hired that coach, it really turned just everything around for me. And there was some hard moments. I mean, bless her, because I was not the easiest. I was like, why are you telling me to do this? Why are you saying this? Like, none of this makes sense. And she just kept on pressing me to really break the mindset habits that I had and moving from employee to business owner.
Yeah.
I only saw it from how an employee could help a business owner. I never saw it as like how to be that business owner that helps themselves.
So when that first year in business, were you trying to get to refer out, or were you trying to be the virtual assistant?
I was trying to be the virtual assistant.
Okay.
I was. I did pick up clients. I made enough to, get by and doing everything, but I didn't have the right pricing structure. I didn't know how to have the right pricing structure. I didn't know how to get business consistently. When you're an EA and you're working by the hour, it can be extremely difficult because you only get faster. So I'm only getting faster at my work, and I pride myself on being fast and efficient. So I'm actually penalizing myself for being better as a VA.
Sure.
So how is this working? Like, this isn't a good long-term model. Like, what's wrong with this picture?
Yeah. So we run into a similar situation with calls on call, because as you get better with calls and stuff like that, you say, hey, this typical client's going to be whatever, 5-10 hours a month, whatever. Let's just say 10 for easy math. And as you get better at it, faster at it, more efficient, now they're 8 hours. And I imagine with VA stuff, it's probably even cut more than that. So your 10-hour client turns into a 5-hour client. When you're paid by the hour and not necessarily by the project, because you're more efficient, you essentially just cut your pay in half. Not ideal.
No, not ideal.
That means you charge by the project then to reward your efficiency rather than punish it.
Correct. I quickly switched to value-based pricing and still use that to this day. And that's what I also teach other VAs to do. And it's something that was extremely hard for me to adopt. And it was also doing less work.
All right.
And I just had such a hard time wrapping my head around that. So I was used to doing, the core elements of my job, but every now and then you needed to do some other things. And,
Mm-hmm.
you just were a team player, right? Like you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to say no, you're going to figure it out. You're going to do what someone asks you to do.
Yeah.
And it's very different as a business owner. And you have to be very careful because it shifts you outside of your operating systems and what you're good at and what you can be successful at, and then how you know that you're making money. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine if you want to test it out and you go into it with a testing out frame of mind, but if this is going to become the norm now, how does this fit in?
Right.
And so the idea that I was actually going to do less, charge more, just boggled my mind. I mean, I couldn't. And I remember asking my coach, like, are you crazy? Like, are you crazy? I would get fired if I was working in an office and I told someone, no, I'm not going to do that. It's not a good use of my time. And oh, by the way, I'm going to start charging you more now.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, that's your problem. You're not an employee.
Right.
You're not an employee. You're not going to your boss to tell them anything. You're sharing your informations because it's a matter of fact with your clients. And I remember thinking, well, how many people do you want me to alienate before like someone says yes to these small set of services and what I thought was a large chunk of money?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I want you to alienate anyone who's not willing to pay those prices.
Smart coach.
And I thought, oh, well, that makes sense. Like, like, I mean, all of a sudden, just like, my eyes were open, the scales fell off. I mean, it was just like, okay, I get it now. Because I didn't see the opposite side of that was my frustration wasn't coming from doing less and making more. It was coming from rejection, from not having the right clients to pitch in the first place.
Oh, so it didn't necessarily come from, I didn't earn that. It came from you're trying to please everyone, essentially.
That's right.
All right. Interesting. I could see, I can tell you when I first started my business, similar situation. I just feel like you have to constantly be working in exchange trading time for money.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a long time to realize that that is not a very smart way, certainly not a healthy way to own a business.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to own a job.
Yeah.
Which is not ideal.
And I adapted it permanently when I started making travel a permanent way of my life, because now I knew it was going to cut into my travel time. And that was a no-go for me. That was like my sacred cow. Like, no, this wasn't happening, because I had previously had a fear of flying. But when I signed a few contracts and I was doing some work, I was actually doing in-person events as well. I was flying more often. Well, I wasn't flying across the states like I was before. So I couldn't take the same amount of Dramamine that I had to. I was taking like fewer Dramamine. I was also not flying just like, once a year there, once a year back. I was flying at least once a month. So having these more frequent flights, shorter, closer together, I had to limit my dosage of Dramamine. So as soon as I hit the ground, I wasn't like trying to, go to sleep. I was actually going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I just realized that I forgot to take my Dramamine. I landed in Florida and I thought, I didn't take my Dramamine. I went to get my phone out of my purse, and there my Dramamine was. And I thought I didn't take it. And so I thought, oh, does that mean I'm over my fear of flying? So I had a long flight to LA coming up. I landed at LA and I didn't take it. And I thought, oh, I'm cured. So I went out and got my passport. And then from there, I started traveling internationally. And so it was to take on the wrong clients or to, trade time or all that kind of, it was just that it definitely does not fit into my lifestyle.
Nice.
And again, I went back to the thing, like you're just not a good client for me. Like I'm not a good person for you either.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to try to get a hold of me and you're not going to be able to get a hold of me.
That's awesome. So it'd be liberating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bringing the freedom back to owning your own business, which is what people often, entrepreneurs will say that they want that. And then they build their own little prison.
Oh, absolutely. Freedom and flexibility is the number one reason that people become VAs.
All right.
And we did our last survey, and 98% said they were actually achieving that freedom and flexibility. Now, I will say that it's funny because as they became more successful, their freedom and flexibility went away. Because in the beginning, you're like chasing that dollar, you're paying your bills. Well, then when you're not chasing it and it's coming at you instead, how much harder is it to turn it away and say, oh, well, if I take that, this is going to take some of my freedom and flexibility unless I hire someone else, or unless I empower someone else, unless I hire a manager to do these things. Like, who's going to oversee this? Is this fit within my personality, even to be able to mentally disconnect, even though I'm not physically even, remotely doing the work?
Yeah.
And for me, I think I was also very much guarded and protected because many of my clients are famous or online famous. So I see what they're posting, but I know the reality. I've seen behind the great curtain of Oz, and I'm like, that is not true. That like, oh man, I cannot believe you're selling that trash, because it's a lie. It's a lie. I know you're lying. I just was on a call with you. I know what's going on. I know what you're posting is not true. So I became very guarded, knowing that the people and even my competitors who were hiring me were not living the lifestyle that they were selling. And I was like, that will not be me.
Right. Actually live the dream that you're proposing to people.
Yes. Yeah. And
Very
for me, it really did come down to this crazy thing that many people can't understand. So like for me, I have different types of boundaries and work schedule than other people do. My kids are grown. I don't have a partner. So I don't need to or have a desire to conform to a 9-to-5 lifestyle, which I find so ironic because so many people are like, oh, I'm ditching the 9-to-5. I'm ditching the 9-to-5. But they're not really. They're just ditching their employer. They're not ditching the 9-to-5. They're just ditching their employer. They're keeping those same hours. And I was like, I have a bit of a rebellious spirit. So I was like, I'm absolutely not working those hours just for spite alone. I will not do it. So I'd rather wake up early in the morning, do my stuff, take off my afternoons and work at night again. Sometimes if I want to take off on a Tuesday and treat my Tuesday like a Saturday, I want to be able to do that. I don't keep long-term clients. I don't always keep clients anyways at this point in my career. But when I do, I don't keep clients for more than 3 months. Because
3 months.
I don't keep clients for more than 3 months.
Wow.
Because it doesn't fit into my lifestyle. It doesn't fit into anything like that. So I'm very particular. And there's some people who would say, well, that sounds awful. Like, well, gosh, it was a good thing I didn't ask you.
Yeah. Did you see, I guess,
but
I've never been a VA, so I guess you just have to feed the pipeline.
I've completely redefined what that means and what that looks like for me. And I have been intentional that my work week will not be centered around Monday through Friday, that my work day will not be centered around 9 to 5, and that I will work when it's not only convenient for me, but it's when it's convenient for my clients.
All right.
So I do calls at 6 o'clock, at 7 o'clock. I don't mind.
All right.
Do I take calls at 8 o'clock in the morning? Absolutely not. You will not be able to get a hold of me at 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't take Monday meetings before 12 o'clock, and I don't take Friday meetings after 12 o'clock.
All right.
I have just completely redefined it. I refuse to be blocked into that time. And for me, that's freedom and flexibility. Now, if I had small children or I had a partner who had, a traditional job, that would be much harder. Freedom and flexibility might just be choosing that I only work 20 hours in a week. Well, that's not freedom and flexibility for me. If I only work 20 hours in a week, I would go crazy. I would be eating junk food. I would be sitting around doing nothing. I need to be at 0 or 100 miles an hour.
Right.
And so that in between space, that just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people get thrown off because when I'm saying I'm working, they think I'm doing client work. And when I say I'm working for myself. I'm my first client. So for every 1 hour of client work that I do, I'm probably doing 3 or 5 hours of my own work because I'm my
Nice.
first client.
All
I have
right.
writing to do. I have people to meet. That's networking. That's professional development. That's
Mm-hmm.
reading. All that stuff, gets put in there. And so people are often amazed that I can set up a meeting like the same day I speak to somebody. Like, wow, like your calendar is available. And I said, yes, I have sacred time on my calendar that no one is allowed to book. I have my time. And then if someone needs me, which my clients, because of the nature of what I do,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, if they're free right now, this might be the only time they're free for the next, week or 2 weeks.
Right.
If I can see them right now, I can speak to them right now and they become a client of mine right now versus like, who knows what could happen in 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
then great. That's my business model.
That's awesome. Sacred time. I love that phrase. That's cool. That is very cool. So it's very clear that you set boundaries and there's no bend in there. That's really cool. I
Yeah.
have,
Now the flip side of that is, because I'm not perfect. The flip side of that is that I am more likely to overwork
mm,
than not.
sure.
And so when you first start out, and I believe this, and I am not a fan of like, oh, don't work hard. Working hard's bad. Like money should come to you easily. It should be easy to build a business. All that's out there. I don't believe in that. I we're not fundamentally even wired to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been studies upon studies that show like if you just have people out there digging a ditch and you pay them more and more each day to do it, they won't continue to do it, not because they don't want the money, but because there's no challenge. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what really hard work is. I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not, my fingers aren't getting blistered because I'm typing, 10,000 words a day. That's not what's happening here,
Mm-hmm.
right? But there's a healthy amount of challenge that we have. And that's really where the hard work comes in because the challenge we love, the discipline to meet the challenge is what we don't love. And
Right.
that's hard. The
Right.
discipline is hard work. Well, I had like over disciplined myself for fear of failure. So I'm more likely to overwork than not.
All
And
right.
that's also a danger. It was hard for people to imagine before because I was traveling and I was doing all these things and people didn't understand that. But now that people have been remote for a few years now, they
Mm-hmm.
can see it because wherever you are, wherever your work is. And it's hard to make those mental shifts. So now, whereas I used to take my laptop everywhere I was, even throughout the house or the apartment I was living in, now my laptop stays in one location, and that's the location I deem to be my office. It does not come with me other places as a mental disconnect.
All
I
right.
shut it down for the day. I say, okay, I'm done now. Like I physically say I'm done now. I close the door. This is my work shirt. I wear the same
Yeah.
thing every day. So
Nice.
as soon as I'm done working, I change my shirt and I am immediately out of work mode.
Just shift gears.
I absolutely shift gears.
Very,
And
very
so
clear.
it's really important because you can, set these boundaries. But if you don't set boundaries like on yourself of when you're not working,
It'd be all the time.
you can be all the time because there's always something to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you're running your own business, there's always something to do. And so now I've learned know what you're going to get done the night before. So the night
That's cool.
before, I write
Mm-hmm.
down my list of what I'm going to get done tomorrow. This is like my non-negotiable. So now what happens during the day, I'm going to get this done. And all the little stuff that comes up, everyone else's little emergency, like none of us are doctors or, at least I'm not a doctor. None of my clients are like, no one's dying.
Mm-hmm.
So that is not going to weigh on me. If I have to do something, I'm going to get my stuff done first. I'm going to figure out what I can do for somebody else. If it can't be done today, then I'm going to tell them when it will be done.
Right.
But then it takes out that necessity to wake up and have other people dictate my day.
All right. So you're not constantly putting out fires.
No, no.
All
And
right.
even when I set my out of office emails, I'll set my out of office emails and I'm like, and because there are no emergencies, like, because it used to be this thing, people would set their out of office emails and they would write in case of emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And I specifically write in my out of office emails because there are no emergencies. Because I've already anticipated your needs, right? Like, here's
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff that you might possibly need, none of which is an emergency. Now,
Mm-hmm.
however, if you don't need anything on this list, like, congratulations, you've stumped me. And for you, you can contact my assistant.
All right. Nice. That is cool. I love it. So or I guess, tell me how AVA came around. The Association of Virtual Assistants. That came around, I imagine, after.
It did. So when I started my business, as you can imagine, I was completely lost and I was looking for resources and I
Mm-hmm.
was looking for people like me and I've always been very connected to other assistants, which is why networking seemed like first nature to me. It was like, well, that's what you do. Like, that's how
Mm-hmm.
you get new jobs. That's how you find new people. That's how you get introductions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking for these places and there were some out there, but I didn't feel like they were all the right places.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like any other, entrepreneur or business owner, what do you create? You create the thing that you feel is lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know how or when I was going to create it. It boggled my mind to think about it. It was so out of my area of expertise, my comfort zone, you name it. And I actually read a book, Dan Pink, I think it was his Drive book, or it might have been To Sell as Human.
All right.
Forget.
I read
But
Drive. It's a good book.
yes. And he had said, write a rejection letter to yourself for that thing that you want to do, you don't know how to do, that thing that it's not, maybe you're not going to accomplish it this year. Just go ahead and write a rejection letter to yourself. So I did. And I still have it on my wall. It's dated 3/14/16.
Wow.
And so I said, the rejection letter was, here I wanted to create this space for VAs and I don't know how. And the rejection letter was basically from some, I don't know, generic company saying it's just not the right timing.
Oh.
And the purpose of the rejection letter is to understand the gap that you need to close of why you're being rejected instead of saying it's ready now. Because if you do that and you realize there's not a gap, then there's an action that you're missing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you write it and you realize a gap, now you know how to close the gap.
Mm-hmm.
And when I realized it was just timing, there was so many things, but ultimately all these things needed to take place within me and my work and my everything that I was doing. But it was so grand that I couldn't even name it bigger than timing, right? Because it was 1,000 things I didn't know.
Sure.
So, but it was just always there. And fortunately, it was like so out there that I could just continue to build my business and do what I do and just kind of look over it every now and then and say, one day,
All right.
And then in 2018, I felt like the timing was right, but now I was super frustrated because I thought it was going to be more like a marketplace, but yet I have no tech background. I didn't feel comfortable hiring a tech person because I know so little that I wouldn't even know what a good person would look like.
Right.
I mean, I just felt super frustrated and I felt blocked. And I was talking to a girlfriend of mine who was in the same group that I'm in. And she said, well, what's stopping you from creating an association? And I thought,
Great question.
Nothing. And she said, well, would that solve any of the problems and just simply take out the tech piece? And I thought, yes, it would. So then in December 2018, I sent out this like super cryptic email. And it's cryptic because it was one line. And none of my emails are one line. At least not my newsletters. I'm a long form writer. So just sent out a one sentence email that says, who wants to change the VA industry with me? Was quite cryptic. And I had a few takers. And so we launched the AVA in March 2019.
So you sent that email to VAs that you knew or just every VA email you could find?
No, everyone who was on my email list.
All right. And out of, how many are we talking? We talking hundreds, thousands, whatever?
We're talking hundreds,
Okay.
like just under 1,000.
Okay. So then how many people said, yeah, let's do this, or responded like,
I had
what is
4 people
this?
respond and 3 people take me up on the offer.
It's not bad.
Mm-mm.
Run with it.
Mhm.
Changing the world here. Who wants to
Yeah.
change the world? Essentially, that's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
So then from there, how did you take it? Did they become partners, or they just were
They
first
did. They
members?
became partners. And I have one partner still with me. So one partner left at the end of that year. She actually left the VA industry. We had another partner, and she was with us just until this last October. And then now it's just me and another partner.
All right.
And yeah, there's lots of, there's lots of change.
Mm-hmm.
And how I prepared myself was by watching a lot of business movies and documentaries.
Ah,
It
favorite
really
one?
does. Yes, The Founder.
The Founder's great movie.
Yes. I
Great
mean,
movie.
I probably watched that. Oh gosh. I mean, I've watched it maybe 10 times.
Sure. You're talking
It,
persistence, systems.
yes. And I mean, when you think about like how there was a time, because it wasn't in my lifetime, right? But there was a time when you had to train people to order food at the window
Mm-hmm.
and then throw out trash. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just that concept alone was mind boggling for
Mm-hmm.
me. And when you see where all these founders end up, whether it's like Steve Madden, Steve Jobs, Wolf of Wall Street, like all these things, like where did they go wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't actually looking for what they did right. I have to find my own right path.
All right.
But the one thing they have in common is all the places they went wrong, where they all go wrong. They all messed up in their personal relationships, and it all tied to money.
Oh,
So my mission was that, we're going to do this and we're going to talk about money a lot, and we're going to talk about money before we have it.
all
That
right.
way, when it's done, we already have in writing, we already have contracts, because we may all go our own separate ways. This may not work out. All these things may happen. But at the end of the day, if we're not still friends, then I will not have succeeded at
Right.
anything.
Right. What's the point? Yeah, I
What's the
gotcha.
point?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one of my biggest takeaways. So I can honestly say that when I had these partners leave, it was great. We wished each other well. We have a great respect for one another. I can't possibly do anything but thank them for their time and service that they gave. And still, yeah, we have contracts in place. So we never have to go back and like, well, what do we do about money now, or like money in the future? Because it's easy to do that when you have nothing. Right. For some reason, it's the opposite. It's great to talk about money when you don't have any. It's very hard to talk about money when you do.
Well, people get militant then.
They do. They get really
Something they can
stingy.
take before it's just a dream. I can have
Yeah.
dreams all day.
So, I mean, when it's all just a dream and it's all out there, I mean, that's the perfect time. So, we did that very prematurely, but it also, saves us. And I think it's a great business principle, because then it also helps center you as an owner. How much is too much? How
Mm-hmm.
much is enough? When is it going to go to charity? When are you going to give back? When you like, are those things important to you? Are they not? Are you aligning yourself with other people who feel the same way as you do?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of things that we can't see eye to eye on. I don't even want to see eye to eye. I want you to challenge me. I want you to poke holes in my plan. I want you to do all those things. But money is the one area where we have to see eye to eye. We have to do that. We can do everything else, can be up in the air. We can battle it out. We can hash it out.
Mm-hmm.
We can come to terms. Not the same with money.
Yeah, fair. Totally fair. I wouldn't say premature at all. That's the perfect time to
Yeah.
get that stuff laid out in writing. So essentially, I always think of it like a game of Monopoly.
Mhm.
You wouldn't play a game, Monopoly or otherwise, without rules, because then you feel like you're playing with a 5-year-old that's just changing the rules on the fly. And it's tough to play with them, especially in business when money gets involved. So you just lay out the ground rules. These are the rules of the game. We're going to play the game. We're going to have fun playing the game, but these are the rules.
Mhm.
We all agree. We're cool. Let's go make some money, have some fun.
Mhm.
So very cool. I love it. Was it challenging to start something from scratch like that with partners?
In a way it was challenging, and in a way it wasn't, because, thinking about starting my own business, even though I had a coach and I have a super loving family, like it's daunting that everything is your responsibility. So it was so nice to have other people, to have areas of responsibility that are not my strong suit.
All right.
And, be able to collaborate with one another. You just don't feel like you're alone in business. And so that part was really great. Now, it was challenging to have an idea and someone say, no, I don't think that's good. Like, and as much as I wanted it, right? As much as I wanted it. And I actually had to tell my team, like, here's the thing about me. I say things with total and complete conviction. It's my personality that I won't even say something if I think there's a tiny chance that I can be wrong. So it means that I only say things with 100% conviction. It does not mean that I'm right. It only means that I'm convicted to myself that I think I'm right.
At that moment in time, you believe that.
Yeah. So I said, I need you to show up and say no. Like, I want you to imagine something different. I think that you could be wrong. Like I said, don't take the tone of my voice. That's just how it's going to come out. I am always willing to take that advice because, believe me, I have been wrong more times than I have been right. I'm going to own that. I'm going to own it 100%. And I'm more likely to own it when it's coming from you all, because now I have you all to answer for as well. If something goes bad and I have to say, wow, we could have totally avoided this if I had only listened. I don't want to be that person.
Right. Fair.
I don't want to be that person. I'd rather be the person, and this is still true. One of my partners said, we need to shut down membership after we open, then raise prices. We'll shut down for a month. And we were like, what? What are you talking about? That's crazy talk. That sounds, no, like, oh no, like that's not happening. And she just kept on persisting. And she is my silent giant. And I thought, all right, this is what I hired her for. This is what we wanted to partner for. This is what she knows better than I do. I'm going to listen to her. And to this day, instead of saying I should have listened to you, I get to say, I still think that's one of the best decisions I ever made was to listen to you.
Nice.
We had a strategy session a few weeks ago and we were going through everything. And because of that one decision, it's completely changed our entire trajectory. And every time I look at it, I can't possibly forget. And I tell her, I said that if I did anything right, I listened to you when you told me that.
That's cool. That's cool. So how do you market this? It's surprising to me that an association for VAs didn't exist before.
Oh, they did.
They did. Okay.
Yeah, there are several. They didn't speak to me and they didn't meet the needs that I had. So I wanted to create a different one.
You got the Association of Virtual Assistants as your association. And there were associations before that didn't have that name?
Correct.
That seems like the most obvious name in the world to me.
Well, some of them got more niche in their names.
All right. So
maybe there's one in Canada, there's an international one, there's other ones. But yeah, just blanket statement. No one had it.
Interesting. And is yours nonprofit or for profit?
It's for profit.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Cool. So how do you market to existing virtual assistants? Because, and I want to throw this little dangler, I guess, out there. The people that I've met that are virtual assistants, and that's a small pool, but decent sized pool. A lot of them are just kind of hanging out on their own. They're one, maybe 2-person shows. And their big thing is, I don't want a boss, but from my point of view, a lot of times they still own their job. So they're not, a lot of them, despite what I recommend to them, have very little desire for growth. They have more desire for comfort or I think of it as complacency, but they probably don't. But you know what I mean? They're not necessarily looking to reach for the stars kind of thing. Not necessarily good or bad.
Yeah. So we have gone through several ideas for marketing, and you think, well, you've been doing this for years. You should start this. You should know exactly who your person is, and that's just not the case. We've had to test a lot. We're still testing. We're still trying to figure out who our person is and what stage that is in their business. So we have some members who have joined because they have always lived a life where they are part of their industry association because of what we do to help promote and protect the industry. So we have like a
Oh,
state of the VA industry report, we have industry standard pricings, we have free resources, we have free training. You have some people who feel like they want to join because they want to give back. So in our association, much like association rather than a group, everyone has free reign to speak within a group. No one's going to be going against my business model that I think is the right one. So
all
if
right.
someone asks a question in Slack, there can be 5 different responses, 5 different types of responses. And then it's
Nice.
up to the person to determine which one suits them best. I don't believe in blanket responses.
All right.
We have a very core set of individuals who just don't believe in doing business alone. They don't know when they're going to have a question. They don't know what their next question is going to be, but they want a trusted resource of individuals who's going to provide them with some kind of help and information, and in real time.
All right.
So
So
we
it's
like to
kind of
say,
like,
like, ask questions.
all right.
And then certainly we have those who want to become VAs. They have
Mm.
lots of questions. And so really our premise is when a lot of VAs don't feel valued, this is a place where you can feel valued. The
Oh,
other side of that is the question that you have now in business is not the question that you're going to have a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now.
hmm,
But we're still going to be here to help you answer those questions. So there's plenty of VAs in our association that, they're out to build their next empire. Like they're going
nice.
big. And there's other VAs that say, you know what? I want to work 20 hours a week and that's it.
Hmm.
And there's no right or wrong. It's whatever suits your business. But
Hmm.
whatever question you have in order to do that,
Hmm.
whatever question you have in order to maintain that, that's what we're here to help you with and give you resources and provide options. And then also just serve as a point of contact, right? It can get lonely sometimes.
Right.
You're like, when is anybody out there? Is anyone going through what I'm going through? We have events twice a year. So they're both online. We celebrate admin week. We just finished up our holiday party where we give away amazing prizes. We
Nice.
don't, we don't compete with other groups. So every VA leader in the industry like loves to work with us and collaborate with us because we're not saying, oh no, we don't want to, be with them. We don't want to be associated with them because they might take our money.
Right.
We're saying, this is a great person in the industry. Have you heard of them? Like they're awesome. Like what another great resource for you.
Nice. All right.
And then this year we've decided that it's time we're going to do some pop-up events. So we're going to have some pop-up events coming, 50 people. We're going to cap it. We're going to meet live and in person. It's what our members have been asking for. It's what members of the VA community have wanted as well. And just being able to get what they need in real time. VAs are notorious for, being behind the scenes.
Hmm.
And so a place where you can like kind of like be in front without like, you know, without feeling like you're losing your security blanket being behind the scenes and, meeting other people and other individuals, and giving them something for that is something that we're super excited about this year.
Nice. That's cool. The pop-up events, are they happening all over the country or?
They will. Our first one is going to be in Atlanta
Okay.
in March. I'm keeping it close to home for me since this will be our first one. We want to make sure that I can have, plenty of boots on the ground. But when we polled our members and even our non-members, we wanted to see, where they would want us to go.
Hmm.
We were quite shocked that single individuals would say, I'd be willing to travel to these states. These states all surround me. I'd be willing to travel to these states. And we thought, gosh, like people willing to travel more than just in their city? Like, okay. We'll probably do it in states that are certainly more open
Hmm.
and flexible. So we won't be going to New York or California anytime soon.
Right.
Probably likely to go to Texas or Florida next, just because planning is hard and they have
Right.
easier access.
They're building a
Uh,
wall around New York now. So
yeah. So, but yeah, Atlanta will be our first one this coming March 2022.
nice. That is so cool. So when you look back at all that you've been through as far as you've come with your business, how does that make you feel?
I have really mixed feelings because I'm a recovering perfectionist. So I think it's hard for me not to remember like all the things that I've done or that I could have done differently. I've certainly failed more times than I've succeeded. But this past December, we're in December right now, but it feels like a forever ago now. I was named top virtual assistant consultant of the year, and
Nice.
I went to New York, and we were at the Plaza, and it had actually been a dream of mine to stay at the Plaza, and to have this whole experience. And I was there 3 years ago attending HustleCon East, and I walked around the Plaza, and I thought, gosh, I should be staying here. Like, this should be my life. And so to be able to have that and to be able to share it with my mom and have that dream literally come true was quite extraordinary, because while people would tell me, oh, you're living the dream, you're living the dream. Well, it was never my dream to be a business owner. It was never my dream to travel the world. I was afraid to fly. Like, it was never my dream to do a lot of these things. I just one day said, I'm going to do that. And I did it. And so it was really kind of hard to separate those things. And then the other side of that is, when I look back and I see the things, I'm like, oh gosh, I wish you just imagine what you could have done if you did this instead, or if you made this decision. But it's not fair, because I didn't know that. I know that now. To make a foolish decision now would be foolish. Then it was the only information that I had. It was not foolish. I took a calculated risk. I failed. Like, that was it. And so in times it's challenging to think like, oh wow, you've come a long way. And at times it's like, wow, you still have like so far to go. So my word for one of my words for 2022 is actually endurance.
Endurance. Okay.
Because there is no real finish line. This is like the ultra marathon. Like you have to endure every day. And we can often see endurance as something that's bad and hard or painful, when in fact, the ability to endure is actually changing your tolerance for pain and discomfort to make it seem like not a big deal. So when there were studies done on the difference between an athlete at the state, local, and national Olympic level, it had nothing to do with the talent that would predict how well they would do. In fact, it had to do with how long they were able to endure a painful or uncomfortable situation.
All right.
And those who are at the top or at the Olympic level, and it's, miles apart from those even at the national level and then at the state level, right? But the amazing thing is that the athletes don't actually have they didn't know that they were enduring more pain or more discomfort. And we're talking about like having your hand in ice and, things. They weren't like sticking people with things, but, they had just let their mind go to another place that it didn't occur to them. And so for them, endurance was just, well, this is what you have to do if you want to compete. And so really changing my mind around that and seeing like, okay, yes, like put all those things behind you, take what you know, move on, and, get ready for the next thing. Because if you continue to take the failures and the mistakes and, all that you could have done into the future, you're bringing all those things with you. You don't actually learning from them. You're not actually learning from them. It's the lie that we like to tell ourselves. Well, I'm learning from that. I'm shaping it. But the fact is you already learned it. You already learned it. It's time to move on. It's time to learn something new. And the flip side of that is to learn to ultimately succeed in your plan, succeed in your goal, and hopefully even be surprised that what you didn't think was going to happen could, because some of my best experiences in business have been the things that I had no idea were possible.
Nice. I love it. Melissa, we went a little over on time here, but that's all right. I feel like I could talk to you for another 3 hours. So that's just how it goes. Let's really quick here for all the VAs out there. What are a couple pointers that you would give them as far as either starting their business or what you have learned as far as growing the business?
Sure. Start. Like, don't wait till everything's perfect. I know that we love to make a plan and stick to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. It's a great framework. It's not how business happens. Business does not happen in a linear shape. And I know that we try to plan for A, B, and C. I've done it. It still doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to look at the positive side, the flip side to that is that you don't have to take every step. In business, you can actually skip steps. So if you're not so tied to that framework, you can actually, make leaps and bounds over your plan.
Right.
But
true.
you do have to start. And I would say the one thing that VAs really struggle with is, where to get clients, how to find clients. And you know what? You just have to start talking to people. When someone asks you, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing these days? Don't say, I'm fine. Say, I'm great. I'm starting a VA business. I'm looking for these types of clients so I can do this type of work. Do you know anybody?
That's awesome. That alone, instead of just saying I'm fine, I'm good.
Yeah.
Or the common, I say, how's it going? They're like, it's going. What's wrong with you? I'm not dead. So at any rate, Melissa, how can people find you?
Sure. If you're on LinkedIn, I live on LinkedIn, so you can find me at Melissa Smith, ThePVA. You can email me, melissa@thepva.com. That's also my website, thepva.com. If you're interested in the Association of VAs, it's associationofvas.com or melissa@associationofvas.com. I love email, so I answer email and LinkedIn. You can find me on other social media platforms, but you can expect a delay in a response. I don't live there.
LinkedIn, that's the B2B world. It's just how it rolls.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Melissa.
Thanks for having me, James.
This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We are underwritten locally by the Bank of Sun Prairie. If you can do us a huge favor, share this with your VA friends, your entrepreneurs, give us a thumbs up, and of course, comment and let us know anything that you want to share with Melissa or ask her questions. She's got a lot to share. So much to share. I normally don't go over time, so this is cool. My name is James Cademan. And Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call, offering call answering and receptionist services for service businesses across the country on the web at callsoncall.com, as well as Draw In Customers Business Coaching, offering business coaching services for entrepreneurs looking for growth on the web at drawincustomers.com. And of course, the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur and all of us, available wherever fine books are sold. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Melissa Smith, the CEO and founder of the Association of Virtual Assistants, as well as the PVA. Melissa, we were talking so much and had so much going on. I forgot to ask you about your books. So really quick, can you tell us just the title of the books and where people can find them?
Sure. If you're looking to hire a VA, Hire the Right Virtual Assistant is on Amazon. And if you're looking to become a virtual assistant, Become a Successful Virtual Assistant, also on Amazon.
Awesome. We're going to have to chat again because I feel like you got a lot to share. And we just had to squeeze it in time here. So thank you so much for being on the show, Melissa.
My pleasure, James.
Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night. The podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.